Guten Tag.
You look a bit German.
Satash. Bonjour. Any more?
We haven't. How long is it since we've done a podcast? 3 weeks? 2 weeks?
A week? 2 weeks?
Yeah. Feels like a while.
Because, to be fair.
Should put some product placement.
No, 2 weeks because of bank holiday.
Yeah, and I was off the week before. It was 3 weeks for me.
Yeah. Well, welcome back, everybody. Sure you've missed us tremendously. Sure you've been waiting by your phone to get a notification of another.
No, I bet they've been doing that thing, you know, when you go on your podcasts and you do that thing to see if it's updated and another one's gone on. I bet they've been waiting for that.
Come on.
Come on then. My first one. I have an email list with a decent opening rate, but can't seem to get a conversation out of anyone on there. Struggle with getting them to click things. What is your advice to capitalise on the open rate?
If you're asking for people to do things, then what you're asking them isn't compelling enough. So it's you got to look at the offer that you're positioning, and that offer could be a reply to your email, a sign up, a book a call, a download the lead magnet, blah blah blah. Could be anything. So I think one is your offer. Number two, probably going back to the beginning of the email as well, because yes, we know people are are opening your emails, but are they making it to the bottom where I'm assuming you're putting your call to action? So I think, first of all, is look at your CTA. Is it compelling enough? Is it solving a problem? Is it something that they want, need? And the second thing is the starting point where, for example, you are creating, it's like anything, isn't it? A story at the beginning. So maybe something personal, relatable. And you'll get a lot of emails saying, oh, I'm just in a coffee shop, drinking my latte, looking at screaming kids, and thought of this. So a relatable start in that is going to engage them to get to read further down. So those are the two things I would say are the things to look at. Also positioning your call to action in also not just at the bottom of your email in different places. So those are the things. Anything you'd add? How to get the most out of check-ins, engaging the client.
I think the broad reply to that would be understanding the client really well. And that's how you engage anyone. At the end of the day, it comes back down to buying, doesn't it? Now, I'm not saying that they're not bought into you or the process, but sometimes they just need to be dialed back into why it's there and how it benefits them and what they can get out of it. So in terms of getting the most out of it, I would make sure that the check-in, the client is aware of the direct personal benefits it has for them. That's not you telling them it's for accountability, it's for to manage this, this, and this. It's you listening to understand the client and taking essentially the client's issues and creating parts of the check-in that hyper-focus on that. So client issue, let's say you've identified a client really struggles with sleep, that then has a knock-on effect to everything else. Well, a big part of the check-in should be in and around that. So then the client sees that as a direct solution to that problem. Let's say a client has a real struggle with nutrition. Well, a big part of the check-in might be around that, because then the client sees and buys into the fact, if I do this, I will improve nutrition, which will therefore achieve this outcome. So I think making sure that your clients are really dialed into the benefits of that check-in to that individual person is massive. Point of getting the most out of the check-in process is to make sure the feedback and linking it back to understanding the client is very specific also to the client. For argument's sake, if you're sending feedback to me, it probably will be best direct and bullet pointed. If you're sending it to Nick, you probably could get away with being a little bit more detail and thorough with the why behind it. So it's making sure you understand the client for it to land. What are you shaking your head at?
Depends on how the Sunday's going.
And you've also got to take into consideration what a fucking pillock some of your clients might be sometimes. Nick.
Yeah, well, they do, Ant. What else could they do?
What else?
Setting you up here.
You could also watch the in-depth check-in. Would you call it a course?
It is a course.
All right, course that we have that will help you engage your clients more with that check-in process. From how to ask the right questions, how to understand them, how to feed back to them, how to engage them when they become disengaged too.
Where can they get hold of that, Anne?
Amazon. On the platform, on the app. You know the drill. Next question.
You're answering, you're asking.
I'm asking the question. No, I'm not. How's winning the compound? That's the next.
I didn't even include that one. How is winning the compound?
It just validates me a little bit more as
All right, let's move on.
Pep Guardiola, do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's 5 trophies this year, it's never been done. It's Facebook official, that as well, by the way. Next question. You don't need to be the best at what you do. You need to be the best at communicating what you do. This is an area I need to improve. Any advice? How do you communicate what you do effectively?
Understanding what you deliver and what the outcome is of what you deliver and how that meets your clientele where they're at. That's how you communicate it. And sometimes it's leaning into things that may not align with what you would like it to be. Do you know what I mean? I know a lot of coaches would like people to come in wanting to improve on movement patterns, wanting to improve on mobility, wanting to improve on their quality of movement under load, wanting to do performance. And some people do, and there is a portion of people do. Generally, if you're working in a commercial environment, a commercial gym, there'll be a larger percentage of people that will want on the front end to come in and to lose weight, to feel better, to feel fitter. And if you're not meeting them at where they're at from a communication standpoint, you're likely to miss the mark a little bit. So I think that is my advice on that. You can obviously go into how in the medium of how you do that, but ultimately that, in my opinion, is one of the bigger barriers. Is I don't want to be promoting, for example, weight loss and fat loss because I don't agree with that or what that might entail people to believe or do or whatever. So for me, that's probably, and it's only because there's been lots of conversations around it, to be fair, with a lot of coaches at the moment. Anything you would add?
No, I don't think so. I'd just echo what you just said. Listen, you should always practice to get better at what you do. But the hardest part for a lot of coaches is how we position it. And for people to get it, it is really tough, but you've got to work on it because you've got to get to a point of, we talk about it quite a lot and you probably use it loosely, but it's to a point of where you can have this one-liner where you just stand by, I help this person get specific outcomes without them, ... Do you know what I mean? So whether that's I help tired and busy mums lose weight without giving up carbs on wine, I don't know, right? That's just one statement. So when people see it, read it, they get it. And you've got to go through the weeds of the whole understanding your market, your demographic, how they are on at the very, very first starting point, and really understand them at their starting point to be able to get yourself in a position where you can hit them with that kind of Dragon's Den style positioning, not pitch, but positioning. That's really important. And it should always remind you to lead with their problem and not your process, because a lot of the time, most coaches struggle with this because you lead with your process and not their problem. And we have this, I was going to say naivety, that people are just going to get it. It's not naivety. At the end of the day, you don't know what you don't know. You've come in as a coach and you think, why wouldn't people get it, understand it and all of that? But fact is, you've got to find a way to differentiate yourself somehow. And people rely too much on, well, I differentiate by being me or by being a great coach. No one understands what that means. It's
the difference between selling logically and selling emotionally, isn't it? Logically, when people come in and they get the benefits of strength training and they get the benefits of consistency and they get the benefits of reflecting and self-awareness and habit forming and whatnot, it's logical that their life will improve, that the byproducts of that, they will lose a bit of weight and they'll get stronger and do this. But people don't buy on logic. They buy on emotion, and strong emotion is based on pain that they're experiencing, frustrations, challenges, social environments, partners, relationships, self-acceptance, all those things. I'm not saying just manipulate people selling on pain, but people buy on emotion, they don't buy on logic. So if you're selling logically, it's probably where it's falling down a little bit. Next, with gym rent going up yearly, it seems working in a commercial gym isn't viable or long term. Should PTs look to build a client base, then look to move to a nearby studio?
Subjective, isn't it? Very much depends on your individual circumstance. Like, listen, notoriously, there isn't a very long lifespan on a commercial gym PT, and that's one of the reasons for it. But does that mean that you can't be in a commercial gym for 10 years plus paying rent as it increases and goes up every year? Well, it's what me and Nick done for years, so it can be done. It depends on how long term that you mean. But I think this all comes back to what you want, what you need, and how you see your future. And if you see that future not being reliant on the commercial gym, and coming away and not paying the large amounts of rent and move into a private facility with lots less members and less rent, then stick it in the plan. Do I still think there's a place for you to build an unbelievable business in a commercial gym? Absolutely. Even if the rent goes up. And let's be honest, they can only take it up so much for so long. Do you know what I mean? It'll end up being smaller and smaller amounts probably because there's too many coaches coming out of the markets. Yeah, it's really difficult to say. It all very much depends. I did that. I was in a commercial gym for, I wrote my life story on a finger the other day, didn't I? Probably 12 years. And then I moved into a private facility. So I'd be a hypocrite to say no, but very much depends on what you want and what you need. Anything you'd add to that?
There's a lesser of two evils because look at you. I think sitting down for perspective of pros and cons, and not that I agree with it, but it is reality and it is going to happen. It's going to continue to happen as well. So what pain have you got right now? Paying the money, what you get back from your money as a negative, but also a positive, you probably wouldn't need to dive into doing a hell of a lot of online marketing to build a successful business, right? You don't have to maintain the kit. You don't have to do all those overheads and worry about that. You don't have to pay staff. You go and open your own facility, you've got all that in there, but the pro is you have control over everything, right? You're not answering to anyone. You go and work in a private facility, and I've just had a conversation about this morning with the guys. Sometimes it's no better because of the cost of those private facilities and the competition that's rising. It's either you go in, you pay rent, but then what's the con on that? Maybe the rent's less, but the con, you've got 0 members to build a business from. So then the time, what's costing you is the time and the money put into marketing, right? Which usually PTs aren't great at. Or you get employed by the gym and you're down to minimum wage, or it's a revenue split. So there's always pros and cons to everything. Like Ant said, I think it's looking at the bigger picture and looking at how you can take advantage of the opportunities you've got. I'm not saying that as a blindly just forget what the grievances are and the position you're in, but no one way is perfect. Do you know what I mean? Next.
After being hit with rent hikes at my current gym, I feel this has pushed me even more to build my online coaching business so I can leave. I know there is no quick turnaround to getting clients joined up, but is there anything you recommend doing to generate more leads, inquiries and consults?
Yeah, I'll just tell you what I've told him this morning. So 3 different parts. One is diving into the current audience and engage people that you have from ex-clients, current leads, current audience that are engaged, a mailing list, searching for opportunities and positioning an offer, a compelling offer for those people. At the same time with that, you've got to bring more leads into the top of your funnel, right? Colder leads in to warm up for later down the line. So I think it's getting really, 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 really clear and on where people are at, similar to what we just said to the other, where people are at now, what they want to move away from, what you're positioning that matches that, which is a compelling outcome, and then ultimately bringing into a space where you can deliver something which is going to give them a quick win, which is going to help them believe that you're the person of authority and you can deliver what they want, and it enables you to generate that know, like, trust and value. So as an example, we're doing like a 7-day challenge which is going to solve a very specific problem, and we're going to do that through lead ads as an example, as well as organically. So those are the things that in this specific scenario we're going to be doing. Anything you'd add to that? Support with how I can raise awareness of what online coaching is.
Again, it's coming back to not leading with the process and leading with the problem. I think what's really hard is the 2 main principles of any marketing strategy is audience and outcome, right? So who is it for and the outcomes it's going to achieve? So if we're looking to raise awareness, you have to be crystal clear, first and foremost, on who it's for, and be able to spread a message about them people in very many different ways in terms of the pain points they go through, the outcomes they want, the barriers they go through, the objections they might hit you with, the misconceptions, all of that, right? So if we're looking to raise awareness first, we need to raise awareness of who it's for and the problem that you're trying to solve or lead people with. In regards to them raising awareness of it, I think personally it has to have some level of identity. You have to have some level of brand identity to it so you can tell a story behind the actual service. So that means for me, having a brand name, being clear with your mission statement and your online positioning. And I know that sounds very formal and marketing, but it allows you to stand out from the crowd and helps people understand what it is you do, who you do it for and how it works. The next stage of that is telling the story of how it works. So what happens when they come into the business? How does that progress? What outcomes can they imagine themselves achieving in the first 4, 6, 8 weeks and then beyond? Tell a full story of how it all works. So when we're looking to raise awareness, you have to do a massive piece. Well, it's a big piece of work on being clear on who it's for, being clear on the outcomes you're trying to achieve, and then telling the story of how it works and what it is. And how you do that for me is, like I've just mentioned, brand name, mission statement, landing page, where it all has a central place for telling that story. And then all of your messaging leads to that central place in order for people to understand it. Anything you would add?
Nope.
I'm doing a client gig this weekend focused on nutritional and fat loss weight management fundamentals. Regards to weight management, away from the basic topics such as energy balance, macros, calories, TDEE, etc., what would be some key behaviour topics to touch on, such as meal planning, structure, routine, etc.? I think this is a key part and don't want to miss anything out.
Honestly, less is more. So what you're going over there, energy balance, macros, calories, TDEE, that's a lot of information to give people, but not only is to enable them to see how that fits, how they can apply that. So I agree those other elements are really, really key, but I also think that, well, my experience of delivering God knows how many in-person workshops and sessions and stuff is, if you go into that with 1 or 2 points that you want people to walk away with, to be able to action and to be able to move the needle forward for them, is way better than trying to give as much information as possible. So I would absolutely narrow it down rather than widening the scope. Because that could almost also be a follow-up and some later dates as well. So genuinely, I would tone it down versus dialing the information up. Thoughts?
Yeah, I was thinking exactly the same. I was thinking more so of be careful how much information, and is there something that they can do that they can apply there and then? So can they work through something that maybe is a bit more, now they've got the information, is a bit more environmental design, if that makes sense. So like they're picturing what potentially could get in the way of them behaviours and habits, and they're making a plan for if they do get in the way, or what are them scenarios, what are the environments that they're in where it starts to hinder their nutrition choices and all of that, what are the things that they're going to implement. So basically giving them something that they can apply, because let's be honest, that you're more so manage them around adherence of the principles and methods, aren't you? So if you can give them something to go away of going, when this happens, these things usually happen, in terms of me, in their words, falling off the wagon with nutrition, these are the things that I'm going to aim to do moving forward. So these are the steps that I'm going to take. I think that'll be big for them, because then they can take the information and actually put it in everyday life for them, and it helps them manage adherence. How to get clients who aren't interested in specific goals to adhere.
They have got specific goals, you just haven't found them out yet. So what I would say is that you've got to think of the position people are in when they come in, right? Let's just establish the fact that they may not know you wholeheartedly. Sometimes it's not, well, first of all, to open up to someone that you know, but you don't maybe have that certain level of trust in, you've got to be vulnerable. Vulnerability isn't top of the list for a lot of people. So there's that element of people swerving those kind of questions, or telling you what they think you want to hear, or actually maybe not the real reason. So it's definitely creating the environment, creating the expectation of what's going to happen in those calls and situations. It's definitely not just about asking why, but paraphrasing, we've spoke about this a lot, but paraphrasing back to people what they just said and leading them on to thinking about it from a different angle, more emotively, etc. So they absolutely do. We just haven't got to the root of the issue, or we haven't spent the time doing that. And some people will take longer than others. So I would absolutely challenge you on that one, personally. And goals mean different things to different people. It doesn't mean that they might not have a goal within the first 4 weeks to do X, Y, and Z. A goal is also measurements of success. So reframing certain questions is really, really going to help people think of it from different angles. So yeah, you've got to dig deeper. Anything to add?
No, I kind of said similar in his feedback yesterday. So no.
What would you say are some key factors to have in place lead gen wise, before moving out of a commercial gym, this isn't anything particularly close, but I don't want to be paying pure gym rent forever. It's a bit of a theme today, isn't it? I think it's just kicked in, that's why, from April, hasn't it? Yeah.
What are the things that I would have in place? I would be absolutely mega clear on who I was serving as step one. So clear niche, because when you're out there and relying on social media, email marketing, local area marketing, that type of stuff, it's that matters. It's that what will help you stand out, is knowing that and making it crystal clear. And I know it's cliche, there'll be people listening to this going, well, we know that. It's one thing knowing it and another thing doing the work on it and acting on it and following it through consistently. Because if you do, you'll get your return. Second bit, I would have a consistent organic content system in place that brings you in, I don't know, an X amount of leads per month that you can rely on, that you know that you can get from an organic place. Third one is I would back yourself with some paid marketing if you were going into a private facility or online. So make sure that there's a budget for it. Fourth one, I would focus a lot of my time. Yes, more of my time on marketing, but also on how good I was at nurturing them leads that are in the business. So obviously the weekly emails, the follow up, the lead magnets and all of that, which brings me to the last one, is that I would constantly have a lead generator or a marketing campaign on. Now, all of that stuff is not what you enjoy to do, but it's an absolute need to have when you don't have the footfall in a gym. And obviously, you need to have results. Like, at the end of the day, that's what's going to sell to people. So the more outcomes that you can achieve for people, the more credibility you're going to have, the easier it is to market yourself. So I would focus my time and energy on them 5, 6, 7 things, however many I've just said. Maybe you could add in a little bit of local stuff in there as well. Messi or Ronaldo, Nick?
Couldn't care less.
That's great. That was the last question.
Ronaldo.
Good lad. Why?
I like Europe more than Argentina.
What part of Europe's Ronaldo from, Nick?
Portugal.
Nice son. Yeah. Ronaldo gets my vote because he's done it in more different countries than Messi. That's it.
But you know what I couldn't remember the other day?
What?
I was talking to Sam. What centre-backs were called? I couldn't get it. God. So out of the loop with football, you know.
Did you watch the UFC at the weekend?
I watched Bilal get smashed. I was so pleased.
Yeah, I like him as well. I can't pronounce his name, but I like him. Personally, yeah, I like him. I do like him.
I only watched the highlights.
I wouldn't mind to see him smash Islam's face in either.
Yeah.
Purely off the back of the guy's just won his first title in the UFC, and Islam straight on Twitter or wherever it was, straight on him. Like, his mates just lost to him, so his training partners just literally lost to him, and within minutes he's on Twitter giving it him, saying, right, I want a shot. I'm like, that's fucking poor. Before that, I quite liked Islam. That's fucking shite behaviour, that. He's a bit of a slap, so.
Yeah. Wasn't Shevchenko was a bit boring.
Yeah.
And Aldo was coming, wasn't it? I thought he was doing well until he gassed out, really, didn't he?
Yeah.
Old, isn't he?
Yeah.
Right.
We blasted through that in 30 minutes without Sky.
No. It's all that dribble shit talks about.
Waffle. Pure waffle.
Right, laters.
See you in a bit.